still involved in. I think Liverpool could not push their noses in front again.
This was the hump. This is where they could have really lost it, and they haven't really lost it. It's been...
They could have done with 4 points, but 2 was... They didn't lose either game. The momentum's been checked. I don't think it's been completely lost.
The problem is Matip, the midfielder, playing conservatively to cover for him. No Gomez and Alexander-Arnold. Do you know, I disagree. I think it's a quality thing. I don't think that midfield, even with the best back four in world football, would take the ball and play the game and push a team back. Like, the only way Liverpool play well is if Robertson and Alexander-Arnold bomb on, and they're just devastating. It's not a midfield that can take the game and slowly push up and give Robertson a chance to get up and get involved. And I think it's a quality thing. I don't even think it's a nerve thing. People have said, oh, they lost their nerve. I don't think it's a nerve thing with that midfield. Just watching yesterday, the amount of times Van Dijk had to ping long balls because nobody wanted to know was galling, I think. It's
not a midfield built for the way they played last season, and it hasn't been properly reformulated to the way they play this season.
I totally think so. I mean, if the front three are on fire, as opposed to maybe the slightly jaded post-World Cup season front three that they are this year, then there's no issue. But in the current season, I totally think that. I think it's still a midfield built for last season's front three.
But for all their talk of renewed depth this season as well, they're still playing Divock Origi, and Adam Lallana is coming off the bench. You know,
the Shaqiri thing is odd, isn't it? Does he have a knock or an injury?
He hasn't got a knock. He's been on the bench consistently for the past while. I just think it's an issue between himself and...
But he's done well when he's come on.
He did well.
He stopped doing well.
2 points.
He seems to. He doesn't seem to have featured as prominently from, by dipping in and out of Premier League football, but he was so prominent towards the start of the season and was, seemed to be the kind of define of the whole thing, and they just he's gone off from him quite a lot. Even Sturridge at the start of the season, Sturridge was coming on and having an impact in games, and now he just seems to have lost interest as well.
As a completely useless tangent, and then we'll start the news round. What is Shaqiri's body fat percentage, do we think? Does he just have a bad physique, or is he actually overweight? He's a stumpy little thing, isn't he? He's stumpy.
He's chunky.
Big hips, and he's squat and he's small. But I don't know if he's actually out of shape.
I wouldn't think he is. I don't think he could operate at the level that he's operated at for as long as he has, with being overweight.
Google Shaqiri's body fat percentage.
I haven't got his DEXA scans to hand.
Hi Joe, has to be City for the title, and then hope to Jesus they don't do the quadruple from Man U fan Jay in Dublin.
Oh, that's the other little facet of that, isn't it?
Quadruple. Yeah. That'd hurt. What's a treble when you've done a quadruple? And then as a United supporter of 44 years, I'd still prefer Liverpool to win. And I lived through the 80s, says Stephen. Liverpool or City, not even up for debate. I'd rather see City's billions win for the next 10 years than that share on Liverpool. Liverpool have wowed at times, but the wheels are coming off. But they don't have the squad at all.
It's amazing. There was more Football League stuff the weekend than nobody... That's United.
Football leagues.
About City.
So boring though. I saw a headline about third-party ownership, and I thought, oh no.
There's so few City fans out there, and they're all being cheated out of the league. But allegedly cheated out of the league, and no one cares. It's just.
We will do a piece 100% on football leagues, the latest on Man City.
Yeah.
I
tried to read it.
Promise. And how far did you get?
I don't know. I didn't. Not to the end anyway.
Yeah.
Enough to be outraged.
Yeah, clearly. Is there any sense of them being punished properly?
No.
See, that kind of takes away the...
There's no sense of the UEFA or FIFA investigation into it yet. There's merely these documents obtained by Der Spiegel, constantly. There's very few next steps beyond that.
Yeah.
There really is some amount of shite talk about Liverpool. They're 1 point behind the best squad ever to play in England. My word, what has happened to the human brain, says Eddie. This is a fair point, Eddie. They have done remarkably well, better than in any recent season. I didn't think around October time, early November, they would be able to keep pace with City. And they've hung on and somehow went 7 points clear. I guess the fact is, Eddie, they've blown a 7-point lead.
Yeah.
That's the part, Newcastle, that's the issue. But I take your wider point. Right, let's start this news round because apparently Ronan O'Gara is starting at 7:30 and not a moment later, so hurry up.
All right. The Allianz Hurling League final has been pushed back a week due to yesterday's postponed games. The Division 1A meetings of Wexford and Kilkenny and Cork and Tipperary have been rearranged for next Sunday, as has the 1B clash of Waterford and Galway. The quarter-final meeting of Laois and Limerick will go ahead as planned this Saturday, but the other 3 quarter-finals pushed back to St Patrick's weekend. The semi-finals will now take place on the weekend of March 23rd and 24th, with the final on the same weekend as the football finals, that is at the end of this month. Shamrock Rovers meeting with Finn Harps in the SSE or Tristy Premier Division tonight already has the air of a must-win game for manager Stephen Bradley. Rovers' last 2 games have seen them beaten by Bohemians and a draw with Dundalk at the weekend. Kick-off in Tala is at 8 o'clock. While Enda Stevens, John Egan and prospective Ireland international Jack O'Connell all start for Sheffield United in this evening's Steel City derby, Chris Wilder's side are away to a Wednesday outfit. Have lost just once in their last 12 league games. David McGoldrick also on the United bench, and a win for them will see them climb into the automatic promotion places. Kick-off in that one at 7:45. World Rugby Chairman Bill Beaumont has convened a meeting of chairmen and CEOs from Tier 1 unions.
Beaumont? You're taking this French thing a bit far.
That's how David Coleman used to refer to him on Question of Sport.
Okay.
Good enough for Coleman, good enough for me.
Okay. AKA Beaumont.
Bill Beaumont has convened a meeting of chairmen and CEOs from Tier 1 unions, Fiji and Japan as well, and player representatives in Dublin for later this month. The New Zealand Herald last week, of course, published these proposals for a 12-country World League comprising the 6 nations of Rugby Championship sides along with the USA and Japan. Jonathan Sexton, Kieran Reid and Owen Farrell were among those to openly criticise the proposal, and earlier today Georgian Rugby President Gosha Svandidze described those behind the proposals as snub-nosed retrograde officials. In a brief statement, Beaumont says of the meeting this month, contrary to reports, no decisions have been made. This is an ongoing and complex process with multiple stakeholders, some with differing views. Only by working together in the interests of the global game can we achieve something truly impactful in this important area for rugby's global future growth. I look forward to a constructive debate with my colleagues and productive outcomes.
Okay. Rory, sum this up in a few lines. What is going on here the last few days?
Someone I can't quite get a handle on who leaked the initial ring fence plan, but I have a feeling I'm not going to. I suppose I shouldn't speculate on that. But what it has done is
the ring fence plan. You mean
the 12 teams,
Fiji,
with the drawbridge pulled up for Fiji, Japan and USA included, the rest of the Tier 2 teams. Ring fence for 12 years with the 6 nations a closed shop and the Rugby Championship an expanded closed shop. With rugby players, or the World Rugby Players Organisation, kind of coming out strongly straight away with a pre-prepared statement that had quotes from 4 leading players. It seemed fairly well timed. So what's happened now is that World Rugby have been scrambling. Well, I don't know. So the leaked report came out in New Zealand Herald on, I think it was Thursday or Friday morning, and within, I don't know what the exact time was, but soon afterwards this statement came out. So they knew it was coming. They knew that the players knew that it was coming, and they came out strongly against it, and it was almost like getting out ahead of it. And since then, World Rugby have been scrambling and scratching around, trying to clarify, saying that it was never as bad as what that report was like, that it was inaccurate, that we haven't reached the final stage of what is being discussed. And quite clearly, it's the 6 nations who are looking to ring fence it, because they don't want their golden goose to be opened up to the likes of Georgia, and the victims of that would be the Pacific Islanders plus Georgia, who come out quite strongly. Gus Pichot, the kind of renegade, renegade's the wrong word, but like kind of maverick vice chairman of World Rugby, who's kind of seems to be able to change things from within, but has fingers in many pies, has come out today as well, or over the weekend has come out and said that he'd consider resigning if there was a closed shop. And I think what they're doing is trying to apply pressure on the 6 nations through the court of public opinion to make sure that if this World League comes about, it won't be a closed shop.
As in Georgia can get in the
there will be relegation, whether it's every year or every 2 years, that there will be a pathway for there'll basically be another 12 teams underneath who are trying to get into the next one up, so through their own World League. So it's like Georgia have been told they've been guaranteed 2 games against Tier 1 opposition every year. So that obviously flies in the face of what would happen with this, because they'd just be playing against each other all the time. It's a bit messy. I don't really know anyone who thinks the World Nations League is a particularly good idea, maybe in concept, but actually when you think about what it devalues.
So what's the biggest thing it devalues, the 6 nations?
The World Cup, I would have thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you have does
it devalue the 6 nations?
Yeah, it's essentially part of a wider tournament. It's the Leinster Championship in an All-Ireland format. It's still important because you want to win the nations, but you want to be the number 1 team in the world. But there is potential there, but they just don't seem to have thought it through. And it goes back to the fact that rugby's schedule is as convoluted as GAA's and as hard to fix as the championship structures. The 2 sides of the world play at different times of the year, and unless you get that in harness, it's just never really going to work. And it's going to be going till July now. Players are already saying they play too much. That's what they came out about. It's a mess, and basically it's all trying to get public opinion on side, so that when they get to the table next time in Dublin with this Bill Beaumont meeting, the World Rugby can go to them and say, look, nobody likes this. You need to open up your borders. But like the Six Nations have steadfastly refused so far, and it'd be difficult to see them changing it. I'd love to see the RFU come out and give their own opinions on it, but they're not willing to do so right now.
John O'Shea was in town today.
He was indeed. Speaking to our own Stephen Doyle, says Patrick Bamford would make an ideal addition to the current Republic of Ireland squads. The lead striker set to meet with Mick McCarthy in the coming weeks, where the managers hope that the former England under-21 international will switch allegiance. And O'Shea says Bamford would be a perfect fit in the current Ireland squad.
Well, look, I think the uneasiness goes quickly once they see the commitment from the player in training and in playing the games. I think that's the key to it. When kids are, whether it be 16 to 19, it's obviously difficult. There is lots of other factors involved, but ultimately there shouldn't be. There should be straightforward. You want to come and play for your country, that's your country. But the way the rules are, there is different elements to that. We all know that. So look, as I said, if the player wants to come over and he's named in the squad, or obviously the talks have gone on beforehand, and he shows that commitment once he comes over and wants to play and improve the country, let's get behind it. If not, as I said, let's not go chasing.
Okay, that's John O'Shea there. We'll play a good chunk of that on tomorrow's football show. And then finally, Gareth Bale and Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, Gareth Bale's agent has called the treatment of the player by Real Madrid fans a disgrace. The Welsh forward jeered by his own supporters when taken off in Saturday's 1-0 La Liga defeat to Barcelona at the Bernabeu. Jonathan Barnett says the Real fans in question should be ashamed and should be kissing Bale's feet. Bale's future remains in serious doubt at the Bernabeu, despite having a contract that runs until 2022. Meanwhile, Alexis Sanchez could miss the rest of the season for Manchester United. The Chilean forward sustained a knee ligament injury in Saturday's 3-2 win at home to Southampton. Speaking with Chile's El Mercurio paper, the Chilean national team physio Pedro Oñate says Sanchez will be out for 6 to 8 weeks with a medial ligament problem. The worst case scenario would mean Sanchez missing 9 of United's 11 remaining games of the season.
Okay, cheers Rich. That's your news round done for this evening. We've had to jig things around a little bit to make the show work for everyone's schedule. So 8 o'clock is going to be Mark English, and up next Monday Night Rugby with Ronan O'Gara and Rory.
Off the ball on News Talk. Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
The latest Tech Talk is available for download. We hear about the foldable phone trend and get hands-on with Nokia.
We really make sure that we configure the product where you're getting everything that you want from a flagship, but then you're not paying those exorbitant prices. We want to make sure that technology is accessible to all.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Thanks to Harvey Norman
on News Talk.
Listen to the podcast now on newstalk.com or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.